On this episode, we talk about what I would say if I had lunch with Jeff Bezos and what's the difference between a Wantrepranuer and an entrepreneur. Sometimes pain is a part of the process. And so I'm excited about where we're at right
now. Grass is on my head, feel like 100 grand, cause I'm on the dead or alive. You would've thought I was whipping and pushing and selling this dope.
So the struggle was necessary in order for the success.
They trying to ghost your boy, they pulling the gun out the holster. But I'm doing me like I'm posted, yeah. You're smart.
Read the question again. I want to answer it specifically.
Hey Eugene, what is your advice for an artist trying to promote his music?
So, for all musicians out there, for those who don't know me, so I know that a lot of people are just getting to know me. So I was actually a musician the majority of my youth growing up. And so my thought process around music and making music was a bit different than it is today. And what I realized was that you can't just make great music. You've got to be able to greatly put it in front of people in order for you to get as much recognition as possible, or as much notoriety to get known, things of that nature. And one of the things I'm going I'll stress, and it's the same way I feel about content creation for anybody. And this is actually something that Gary Vee started talking about recently. It's something I used to mention all of the time. And a lot of it is wrapped around the concept of putting out more content. So for a musician, I would say, and this is probably different than any musician would think, don't sell your music. That's what I would say. Like literally, don't sell your music. Not for $1, not for a dime. Literally give your music away for free. Now, some people are like, all right, well, how the heck am I gonna make money if I give my music away for free? Your goal is to be able to create a fan base. The fan base you'll earn, you can create a bunch of different products that you can give to the fan base, whether it's giving people access to you, saying that, hey, we're gonna do this live specific concert only for people in the Bay Area, and the ticket is $500. Like, you find ways to give value to the community out without selling your music to them. And you know who did this well? I think it was Wu-Tang. Wu-Tang made one album recently, and they sold one copy of it for $1 million. See, that's thinking outside of the box, right? That's saying, okay, what can I do to generate revenue? Because they probably weren't going to sell. Think about it. Their music deal is probably, every CD is $10. They probably get $2 to $3 a cut out of that $10 CD, maybe a little bit less. So for them to make $1 million, they would have had to sell $250,000. What is that number? No, sorry. That's like, no. About $500,000. $500,000 at $2, they would have to sell $500,000 CDs. Now, you tell me, how many Wu-Tang fans are there? Probably a lot, but they probably not $500,000 of them are gonna buy a CD. And so they said, how can we make $1 million without having to sell a bunch of CDs? We're gonna find one lucky person who's got the money, and they're gonna buy this $1 million CD. And I thought that was genius. And I think that's how marketing yourself as a musician should work. You should be focused on, how do I generate revenue outside of just selling the music itself? How do I create opportunities where people are interested in me as an individual, and I create me as the proponent of success? Matter of fact, somebody else who's doing this, Chance the Rapper. All his music is free. He's found opportunities to build a following, and now he's got deals with Apple, deals with Nike, deals with all of these different companies, and those are the ways that he's generating revenue. And so that's what I would say for a musician today. Become incredibly popular. And the great thing is, look, you got Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever. You got all of these platforms, Spotify, SoundCloud. You got all these platforms to get known. So use the free platforms that cost you nothing to get known, and give your music out for free. And then build a business on the back end of your fame versus building a business based off of selling music. Because, this just in, if you don't know this, people don't buy music. Like that is over. And so how do you find a way to change the perspective? Here's the secondary thing I would say. make a ton of music. Like drop a song every week, every 2 days, every day. Like drop a video of you singing a cover. Like whatever you could do to put out as much possible content to be able to make yourself known. Those are the two things that I would say. I would say don't try to monetize the music, and then make as much content as possible to be as known as possible, because people got short attention spans. And if you're not pushing out content on the regular 2, 3, 5, 10, 15 pieces of content a day, I think that you're losing. Even for my internal self, I feel like we're not winning the battle that way we could be, because we're only putting out 1 or 2 pieces of content a day. We need to be putting out 35, 40, 60 pieces of content a day, 15, 20. Like that's really what's gonna win, because people saw your content and then they forget about it the next minute because they saw something else. So if you're not in front of them as much as possible, you're losing the game. And so those are the 2 things that I would say for musicians trying to get up in the game.
Awesome, great. So second question here for Eugene tells that if you were to have lunch with Jeff Bezos, for anybody that doesn't know who Jeff Bezos is, he's basically the CEO and the founder of Amazon. What would you guys talk about?
Lunch with good old Jeff. I'm actually a huge fan of Jeff Bezos. Like, he's probably one of my favorite entrepreneurs. And mainly the reason I like Jeff the most is wrapped around his philosophy on how he will push his business objectives above the desires of the people around him. So for example, I don't know if the people know, but Jeff Bezos, Amazon ran in the red for like a decade plus of like no profits for a decade plus when they were making billions of dollars. And so why would you run into the red for so many years? Especially, here's where I thought that Jeff Bezos was a boss. Here's where Jeff Bezos became a boss. He became a boss when he took the company public and still decided that he was going to run in the red. Now, if you guys understand kind of how that operates in your normal scenario, when you IPO, there's a lot of pressure from everybody, investment bankers, your current investors, the public, for you to be focused on these quarterly achievements. And one thing that I loved about Jeff was he basically said, look, we're not focused on quarterly achievements. We don't build a business from quarter to quarter. We build a business in decades or in 2 decades. So when we make decisions, we're not making a decision for today. The decisions we made today, we're actually looking for it to reap the benefits 3 or 4 or 5 or 7 years from now. And I think that's the right mentality to have. How can I make a decision? Because when you move in a business, it's like moving a yacht, right? Like you can't make one move and it just instantly changes everything. Most times that doesn't happen. So you take your yacht and you say, okay, how do I turn it 1 degree to the right? And then the whole ship starts to turn over time. And that's really kind of the focus from a business perspective. And that's why I really love Jeff. So if I got down to sit with Jeff and talk with him, I think the first thing that I would ask him was, what gave him the balls to do, to have the fierceness to say, you know what, this is what I'm gonna tell shareholders, and this is why I'm gonna tell them that, because there's a lot of great CEOs, and most of them fold under the pressure of the IPO. I would say 99% of them fold under the pressure of the IPO. And so the fact that he was just like bold and like, yo, this is what we're doing, and you can like it, not like it, don't matter, sell or stop. That was his philosophy. Like, you don't like it, sell or stop. And I think that to me was a boss move, and it's something that I would love to talk to him more about.
Awesome. So third question says, what is your take and how you approach quantity over quality?
What is quality? That's what I would say. What is quality? Like, there are too many people trying to make quality stuff, but quality stuff is subjective. Here's the funny thing is it's the difference between science and math. Science and art, or math and art. Math is not subjective. 1 + 1 is 2. It's not your opinion, doesn't matter. What you hope it should be doesn't matter. Like, math is 1 + 1 = 2. That is the way it is. Art is subjective to a person's opinion. I see pieces of art that's worth $5 million, and to me, I'm like, this thing looks like throw up on a piece of paper. I'm just being honest. It just looks like, it looks the most ugliest thing in the world. But it's worth $5 million. So that's just subjective. People say, based off of my opinion, this is what I like. Well, that's the same thing with quantity over quality. Like who is the person who makes the decision of what is quality? And who's the person that makes the decision of, whether the quality should be put out or not? And I think that is really handicapping people, especially in today's world. When you see a video by, like, let's say a Ty Lopez, where he's like, here in my garage with his cell phone, and 100 million people will view the video, and he sold $10 million worth of products with a video on his phone, walking around like this, saying, here in my garage, right? Like, in 10 years ago, that would have been considered bad quality. That would have been subjective to bad quality. You don't have the mic on, or what?
No, just shots fired at Ty or what?
No shot. I'm just saying. There was in the past, there was this process in how videos got made, how ads got made. There was like 15 people behind 17 cameras, and incredible lighting, $500,000 cameras, all of these things to make one video to be able to sell $1 million worth of product. And Ty's in his garage with one phone, making a video, puts it up on YouTube, and can make $10 million off of that video. Like, that's called genius, right? Like, that just says, like, I understand the state of the market in today, and that state of the market is that the market decides what quality is. And if the market says this is quality, it doesn't matter if you are pitch black and a little bit of a, in the corner, but if, here's a great example. If there's bad lighting, bad video quality, but the sound is great, and somebody is singing, and they're singing so good, like a 7-year-old is just singing so well, that it's just like, oh my goodness, you sound like an angel. Tell me that video doesn't get 10 million views, 50 million views, 100 million views. Yep, why? Not because of the quality, but the market said that this kid's got skills. And I think that's really the philosophy in my mind, is not necessarily trying to get perfect on quality, but trying to get perfect on quantity and letting the market decide what quality is. And here's the great thing about it. Over time, the market will start to say, oh, you did this thing, it was crap, nobody cared. You did this thing, it was great. You did this thing, it was great. Oh, now you got 2 different great things, you just duplicate those. And every time you get a crap thing, you say, okay, I'll push this to the side, that doesn't work. Well, when you're pushing out quantity, when you're pushing out quantity and you're not worried about quality, or you're trying to do your best in quality, obviously we want to do our best, but sometimes it's not great. You just keep pushing it out, and you start to see who's engaging with what. And once you see that, you make a decision on, all right, these are the type of things I'm going to put out, and I'm going to keep putting it out until somebody says this is not quality anymore. And then I'll adjust as you go. But it gives you more opportunities to touch, and which is the reason why you have a big company like, let's say whatever, a big company, and they make a huge video, and it costs them $1 million in budget. And then they put it out, and the commercial doesn't sell anybody on anything. You just lost $1 million, right? Or you could put out 17 different pieces of content, push it out 100 different pieces of content, spend the same $1 million, push it out to individuals and see which ones actually work, and then say, okay, I'm going to target market these specific individuals. Matter of fact, one of my favorite pieces of doing this is when I say, you're a 50-year-old basketball player who loves Steph Curry. In that situation, I create a t-shirt that says, I'm 50 years old, but I still got game. And I sell it to a person who is 50 plus years old, who like the NBA, like Steph Curry. So those are the pieces of content that we should be creating. We should be creating a content, a product or a ad that directly targets these specific micro groups of people instead of trying to get one big piece of content that hits everybody. So that's my philosophy there.
That's awesome. And that kind of also reflects back on musicians looking to promote their music.
Yep.
You've got to aim for as much quantity
As possible.
Great, great. How do you solve?
How do you solve overthinking? So you have to ask yourself, why are you overthinking? And most of people are overthinking because of the prospect of fear. They're worried about what is not going to happen in the midst of them doing this specific thing. And the reason why I don't overthink is because I'm very clear on what I'm trying to do. And I have zero fear against doing those things. So in the beginning of the year, I make a decision. That's what I'm saying. In the beginning of every year, I decide on what that year is going to look like. I'm very clear. Here's what my goals are for this specific year. I know exactly what I want and exactly how I want to get it done. And then every single month, I know exactly what needs to happen every month, every week, and I just make sure I hit those day-to-day goals. So it's hard for me to overthink because I already did the thinking in the beginning of the year. It doesn't take much to think now. I just act. Why are you thinking? You spend the beginning of the year doing all your thinking. Get the fear out. If you're saying, man, I got this big, hairy, audacious goal, I want to go after it. Here's what I want to do at the beginning of the year. Okay, I'm fearful at that moment in time. But when you break it down to month over month, week over week, day over day, it's very easy not to get afraid of the daily what I need to do because it's so small, right? I remember when my first time really having clear, defined yearly goals. The day-to-day was so small that I felt like I actually wasn't moving forward towards that thing. And then 2 months down the line or 3 months down the line, I was like, man, I accomplished so much, but I was doing so little on a day-to-day basis. And I think that's really why I don't overthink. Is a lot of it is based off of the fact that I do all of my thinking in the beginning of the year, and then I get the fear out of the way. Okay, here's what it is. I'm going after this. This is a big goal. I'm afraid. I'm not sure. What if this happens? What if that happens? I had that whole internal conversation in my head, and then I decided. And the definition of this decision or to decide means, if you break it up into the prefix and the suffix, decide or like pesticide, death to bugs, homicide, death to self, or death to others, suicide, death to self. I believe the word decide means death to all other options. So when I made a decision and I decide, then that becomes I'm no longer looking behind. I've decided this is where I'm going. And once I make that decision, then there's nothing to think about. I'm just going to do the day-to-days and make it happen. And I think that a lot of people are either they care too much about what other people think, they're in fear, or they haven't fully made a clear goal, which forces them to be in the middle of the year oh, what do I want to do today? Oh, what do I want to do this month? And it's always so jumbled, where for me, it's like a clear alignment of what I'm going to do from day to day, from week to week, from month to month, and from year to year, that I tend to not have to do a bunch of thinking because I've already done it at the beginning of the year.
Okay, great. So now we're gonna jump on to a different question. It says basically, how do you get yourself up in the morning? What is something that you do every single morning in order for you to be active, after it, take action, go on routine for the rest of the day?
So what do I do getting up in the morning? I think that the big thing is that, first thing I do is just pray. Thank God, I woke up. Because there's a lot of people who didn't wake up that morning. I think that a lot of people, they feel like they need something to happen in their lives in order for them to be happy. I need to make a certain amount of money. I need to take this vacation. I need to have a kid. I need to get married. I need I need a new job. I need a better job. I need more, all of these things that people need. And then they say, if I get those things, I'll be happy. Man, it's sometimes you got to get inside of yourself to say, man, it's just a blessing to be alive. There's so many people who went to sleep last night and did not wake up this morning. So the first thing I'm doing is giving gratitude. Man, God, thank you for waking me up this morning. And then as I start hitting the day, I used to call this thing the $25,000 formula. And a lot of it was really wrapped about You plan your day the night before, you execute it in your head the night before, and then the next day you're excited because all you're doing is replaying the thing that you did the night before. And so for me, my excitement comes from the fact that I already replayed the day, and I'm like already in my head saying that this meeting is going to go great, and this is going to be an exciting time. I've already thought through those things ahead of time, and so when the morning comes up, I got no choice but to be excited because I'm already expecting greatness. I'm already expecting to have an amazing day. Matter of fact, my belief is that expectation is the breeding ground for miracles. And if you want a miracle to happen in your life, you need to expect it. So many people are walking around like hoping and wishing and, man, this today is horrible, and I stubbed my foot, and they let like little small things of that day affect the entire day. Like they let moments affect days. And like my opinion is like, I just try not to focus on that at all. I'm thinking about everything that's gonna happen positive in my life. I'm speaking life into myself. I'm not speaking death. And so many people speak death into their own life. Matter of fact, let me ask you a question. If I had a baby doll, I wish maybe we can somehow put this in the video, Marvin, of like having a baby doll. If I had a baby doll and I had a bat and I started whacking that baby doll with a bat, like you would be like, yo, this dude is crazy. Like, why are you whacking this baby doll with a bat? You got anger issues, right? But the reality is, that's what we do every day in our mind. Our mind is this like nice, sweet baby doll. And every time we speak a negative thought, it's like a bat whacking the baby doll. And people whack that baby doll every day, about 100 times a day, of I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I suck at this, I'm too tall, I'm too short, I'm too fat, I'm too skinny, I don't have the skills, I don't have what it takes, I don't have enough money, I don't look cute enough. All of these things that people are saying, I don't have the right education. And they're just whacking themselves, and they're not helping move the ball forward, because here's the problem with that, is what you focus on grows. And if you focus on how you suck and you're not good enough and you don't have enough money, guess what? Internally, your subconscious doesn't know the difference between the right and the wrong, the positive and the negative. All it's doing is acting on your emotions, and you are emotionally telling yourself that you're not good enough, you're not great enough. So if you take the same energy and feed it into yourself positively and say, I'm good enough, I'm great enough, affirmations are a great opportunity to do something like that. And you just speak life into yourself, because the words have the power of life and death, and your tongue is like a weapon. And God spoke the world into existence. Like you speak your life into existence every single day. You wake up, you could say that we're gonna make it happen, or you could say that it ain't gonna work out for me. And you got the opportunity to make that decision. So for me, I try to wake up in the morning with gratefulness and with prayer, and just saying, thank you, God, for waking me up this morning. I already thought about exactly what I wanted to do that day, so I'm already excited, and then I'm speaking life into myself. Today is gonna be a great day. We're gonna kill it today. It's gonna be excitement. And then I just, on my drive to wherever I'm going, I pop in personal development, and I'm listening to things to reinforce the thing that I just told myself before I woke up. So some of you guys pick up the phone, the first thing you do is go to the CNN and the news and all this other stuff. And sometimes even social media, and everything in social media is not positive, it's not pushing you in the right direction. So when you pick up your phone, when you wake up, please don't let the phone be the first thing you grab. Because that, you don't know, you allow the phone and whatever somebody is thinking at the time dictate what you feel and what you do at the moment of that day. Why do that? Like, create your own atmosphere where you say, this is my bubble and I'm gonna start it the way I want it, versus, John Doe basically said, today is gonna be a crappy day, look at the weather. You haven't even been outside yet, and you thinking it's a crappy day, right? Like we gotta be very mindful about what we pour in to our own minds. And that's really how you wake up with the right mentality. Yeah.
Go ahead, yeah.
All right, so how do you tell who's the real business owner and who's the real entrepreneur? Like all these, okay, buy my course online, buy my course, look at this, buy that, slide my DMs. Or what's like a real business owner? Like what's a real entrepreneur as opposed to like, not a poser, but like, you get what I'm trying to ask right now, right?
I'm gonna say something that some people are not gonna like. What is the right way to say this without getting people very upset?
Raw.
I don't curse. Most of the time, you never heard me curse. So I'm not going to right now. But if I was, I would basically tell 99.9% of the people who have courses, videos, $17,000 come to my suite and let's hang out type of mastermind BS, all of that stuff. The majority of the people who are doing that are broke. I promise you. They got excited, they got some information, they went to a conference, they got pumped up, they regurgitated the crap that they learned at the conference, never did it one day in their life, or maybe did it and wasn't that successful in it, and then they package it up and sell it to you. What? You telling me you're going to sell me on how you sell other people, and that's your business? Like, that to me is a BS business. People who have never done it, and you guys, two people I want to talk to here. The people who are buying the crap, stop it, stop it. If the person has never done what you said they are quoted, go check the receipts is what people are saying now, right? Where are the receipts? Show me your W-2, show me your 1099, show me your business, your office with your 15,000 employees, your 50 employees. Show me the receipts. If you can't show me the receipts, then shut up. To be honest, like, stop talking. So many people are getting in front of a camera and they're talking about stuff that they never did. When I did, there was something that I was really passionate about. Here's the thing I was really passionate about. A few years ago, I started doing videos and stuff like that. One of the things I would not talk about is I would not talk about business. Every conversation I had was about leadership, mindset, but I wouldn't talk about business. Here's the reason why. It's because I felt like I was not actively doing business at the time. I was in a scenario where I was basically working at another startup. I was learning the startup business, but I wasn't in business at the time. So I felt like there was a need for me to be genuine while I was in front of the camera. And being genuine meant staying true to the reality of where I am at the moment. And I feel like so many people are not doing that. There's so many videos of people saying, oh, follow me, I have the right way to succeed. And then they're not successful. And it becomes like this whole repeat and rinse mentality of faking it till you make it. And I think that that's just BS in my opinion. Like, don't fake it till you make it, have it, and then talk about it, right? Like, all this idea of people doing this is really disheartening. So for the group of people who are buying it, my request is just stop buying it. Stop buying into the lies. Like, you are setting yourself up for failure, because who you listen to is what you do. And what you do either will be positive or negative, or successful or a failure, if the person who is pointing you in that direction has never been there. You can't take me to a place that you've never been. You can't take me to a place that you've never seen. Some of these people have never seen $1 million, and they're telling you how to make $1 million. And if they made $1 million, they made $1 million from selling people on how to make $1 million. Like, to me, I don't see how people don't see that. That's baffling. It's baffling. I don't understand. It's like incredibly baffling. And so that's my first group of people. Don't buy it. The second group of people, those who are making it, I'm gonna come to you and I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna ask for your willingness to hear me out. Hear me out in this situation, please. You are putting people in a situation where they're spending their hard-earned money and hard-earned time working with you, working with your content, basically saying, this is how you do ads, and this is how you do this, and you've never done it. If you feel a certain way towards what I'm saying right now, I'm talking to you. Like, if you feel like, oh man, it's okay for me to be a reporter and I can report on these things that I read and learned. There is a time for a reporter and there's a time for people who have done it. And if you're gonna charge people $10,000 or $50,000 to get your course to be able to learn from you and you've never done it, like, dude, they can just go to college. Like, that's the biggest ripoff since college, right? You just basically telling people, hey, I have theories based off of books that I read of people who've actually done it. And then my hope is that I'm gonna teach you those things even though I've never seen those things in reality. So there's a difference between theory and reality. And I'm asking for those who haven't done it, like, make sure you do it first because you are setting people up to fall on their face. And I've seen it so many times where people buy these courses and then they come out of these courses feeling like pumped up and excited. And then they start doing this stuff and it doesn't work. And it doesn't work because they didn't learn the right things from the jump. They learn pieces of it, but you don't know nuances until you actually do it. And so just stop it, man. Stop it. Go back to the question of entrepreneur. How do you know who's a real entrepreneur and who's not? You see who's executing and who's not. Those who execute are entrepreneurs. Those who are not are just talkers. Like just because I put entrepreneur on my LinkedIn page or my Instagram page and I say CEO, that doesn't make me a CEO. If I say I'm a rapper on my Instagram page, I don't mean I might be rapping, but that don't mean I'm a rapper. If I say I'm a baller, I play basketball, that's cool. But are you in the NBA? Are you getting paid for it? If you ain't getting paid for it, that's the answer to the question. If you're not getting paid well to do what you do from an operator perspective, then you are a Wantrepranuer, not an entrepreneur. If you're getting paid building businesses and you're actually supporting yourself off of the business that you created, then you're an entrepreneur in my opinion. Anything else in the middle is just not real. I have a product and I've sold 1,000 things of my product. That doesn't make you an entrepreneur. That makes you a good salesperson. Right? Here's when you become an entrepreneur. When you got that product continuing to move on a consistent basis and you got teams supporting in it, you've got overarching infrastructure that supports that thing staying up, and then you're living off the thing that business is creating, that's when you're an entrepreneur. Anything else is just a joke.
Great question.
Awesome. Great question. Thank you so much, Andrew. Your answers are just fire, man. I had to just pause there for a second. So I personally have a few questions regarding your older business. I know it was very, very tough building it, and you started that since you were 18, basically. Building yourself from ground, zero up to all of this right now. So one of the questions that I wanted to ask is basically, how were you able to prospect for clients? You obviously had to, at some point, build a market, figure out how are you going to be able to build a market, how are you going to be able to prospect people in order to show them your value, the value that you're bringing into the marketplace. So just wanted to elaborate a little bit on that.
So my first business was a direct sales company, and it gave you basically an opportunity to sell a product that you did not create. And I was able to sell that product. And the first thing you try to do when you have a product, I don't care what you're selling, if it's, you make a sneaker or a painting, anything. The first thing you're gonna do is knock on doors and talk to your family. Hey, Ma, you wanna buy one of my paintings? You wanna buy my book? Or whatever the case may be. Like, that's usually the first thing people do when it comes to actually making a product. And so, but once those people run out, like, you don't have an infinite number of family members. So once you can't sell that product to family members anymore, that's when you cross the line, like we talked about earlier, about saying, how do I step into entrepreneurism and start thinking from an entrepreneurial perspective so I can reach out to the world. And so in that business, I got to that point. And I said, man, I need to go talk to other people. And I remember they were doing a contest, and the contest was that we used to give what we call tools out. Tool was like a piece of information that we gave to a particular person in order for them to see the value add of whatever it is that we were selling at the time. And so there was a tool, a magazine, and in the magazine it was just featuring our company. Everything that was on the magazine was featuring our company. So I went to pass this tool out to go meet people and kind of tell them about the company. So at the time, I was just, I was maybe 4 to 6 months into the business at that time. And I still had big braids, big earrings, Jordan jersey. I still didn't have a suit in my closet or anything like that. And I was trying to go what they call prospect people. And so in the process of prospecting, with this contest that they had, they said whoever prospects the most people every week gets 100 of these free tools or these magazine tools. Well, the magazine tools cost $1.50. So it was $150 plus though to ship it. So like $200 for 100 of these tools. And I was like, man, I can get them for free. I don't have to pay for them. And I was broke at the time. I was like, cool, that's great. So I started prospecting people that week. And I talked to, had to be about a few hundred people that week. And I won the contest, free tools. Then the next week, they ran that contest for 4 weeks. 5 weeks, sorry, they ran the contest 5 weeks. I won 4 out of the 5 weeks. In that 4 week or 5 week time period, I talked to probably close to 2,000 people, 1,500, 2,000, somewhere there. I lost count, but it was definitely over 1,000, over 1,200, 1,300. I usually ask the question, how many people do you think I signed up out of that 1,500 to 2,000? And some people will say, 100, 200, 500. I signed up 2 people. 2 people in that hundreds and hundreds of prospecting scenarios. I learned the most about communicating with individuals. I learned the most about human psychology. I learned the most about sales in that 4.5, 5 week time period. And what it taught me allowed for me to be able to now talk to 10 and sign up 6 versus talking to 2,000 and signing up 2. And I think that a lot of prospecting and getting to know new people is about getting out of your shell, breaking out of your comfort zone, and being able to just go and talk to people. Like at the end of the day, there's a person over there, they want to buy your product. You're selling the product. Go talk to them. Like really, it's really that simple. But a lot of people get so hung up, well, what if they're not interested? And what if they say no? And it looks like they have that product already, or they don't like this type of thing. Like too many people are making decisions for people. Like stop deciding for a person. Just go out and talk to them. We had this thing called the 3-foot rule. And if you're 3 feet away from me, I'm talking to you. And I'm gonna get to know you. I'm gonna get your name. I'm gonna talk to you. I'm gonna get your phone number. And I'm gonna call you and follow up with you and try to get you signed up for whatever it is that I'm selling. So from a sales perspective, or when you're early business perspective, you gotta just talk to whoever you possibly can talk to. And sometimes it means going out in the street. Other times it means hitting the phones. I mean, whatever you gotta do, just make sure that if there's a line and then there's people who know about the product, people who don't know about the product. There's a lot of people on the don't know about the product side. Your job as a business owner, as a sales leader, as whoever you're trying to get somebody to buy a product, a marketer, your job is to take the people who don't know and get them to know. Just move them from one side to the other. That's your only job. Whether you're going to talk to people in person, whether you're calling people, whether you're sending ads, your goal is to take people who don't know and help them know. And that's how you create sales. That's how you create revenue. And I think too many people in business are too worried about what people who don't know will say if they're not interested. Guess what they'll say? Let me help you out. Be prepared for this. This is really deep. This is what they're going to say. No. That's it. Now, if any of you died, send me an email. Well, if you died, you probably can't do that. But nobody died just now for me telling you no. But so many people are so afraid of the no, like it's death. And the no just means, to me, it just means not right now. Cool. How do I talk to you later at a later date and time? And I go on to the next person. So many people worry about the no's. There's a good book out there called Go for No. I think it's really dope for anybody who has this prospecting philosophy that they want to try to break. And you just go for as many no's as possible. Like I'm gonna talk to as many people as possible. That's what I did. And that 1,500 or however many people we talked to at that, I talked to at that 4 week time period, 5 week time period. I don't care who. If you were next to me, I was talking to you. And if you were interested, great. And if you weren't, great. And I got a bunch of people who gave me their names and phone numbers, but I wasn't good enough at the time That's another thing. Be okay with knowing that you're not good enough. Like, think about a hobby that you have. If you became a painter today, or if you're a painter in your life right now, or you're a salesperson, or you're anything, any specific role, who you are today versus who you were when you first started is dramatically different. Imagine if you're a painter. Your first painting compared to your last painting is dramatically different. What happened? Time and experience. And too many people are trying to circumvent time and experience. You just need to put in the time and get the experience, and every day you get better. And over time, when you used to do 1 out of 10, you start doing 2 out of 10, and then 3 out of 10, and then 4 out of 10. And that is what you need to do in order to be successful. It's that the reason why Steph Curry shoots threes so well is he shot more threes than you and I. Point blank, period. And because he shot so many threes, he continued to work, and the repetition made him great at that particular thing. So that's it.